We're now recording, everyone. Um, let's see. Well, I'm afraid that people are gonna come late because this is something that like the beginning is kind of important. Not necessarily, actually. Now that I think about it, I have a lot of introductory things. So let's begin. Uh, Um, yeah. So we have our check-in code. I thought it'd be funny to make people torture themselves figuring out what these letters were and where to find the backslash button, but apparently I'm not supposed to do that. So here's a button that you can click in the chat to go to the ACM page. And if you haven't, you should make an account. And The backslash did not break it, actually. We were very surprised, considering the kickoff one didn't work. What are the points for? Well, you can we can't do anything yet, but we will
ACM
soon.
store.
ACM store will be coming soon to a location near you, and you'll be able to redeem them for things that I don't know what they are, but I'm sure they're exciting. So let's get into this. So this is if you didn't read anything, this is the LaTeX event. This is a type of type. So let's begin. So what is LaTeX? In its most simplified form, it's a text formatting system um, built around markup. If you're familiar with HTML, it's kind of like that. Kind of. It's kind of like Markdown. It was made in the 80s, so I don't really have anything I can compare it to most accurately. Um, the main point people use it for is there are a lot of reasons why people use it. It's not something that you should use for writing your essays. Goodness gracious, someone just like ran into the wall in my apartment. I hope they're okay. Um, so why should we use the software or this thing, this abomination to some? The first reason is professionally, people use it for research papers. It's very nice. It's a consistent thing. For us, we use it for homework, for our essays potentially. And if you see anyone who uses Google Docs, you get to laugh at them because like you could say they're a pleb. Um, in actuality, it's mostly these things. We will ignore half of these. Bibliography support is very important when you have research papers, and you can get in a lot of trouble if you don't cite something. Structuring abilities, if you're is important to us. Reference tracking, same thing. And mathematical writing is the big one. Oh, I'm sorry for whoever did their homework in Google Docs. I think that's atrocious, honestly. Might as well like just write it on paper. Like, how do you do that? Oh goodness, I pressed the wrong thing and it exit full screen. There we go. Can everyone see the slides? I assume so because you're responding. So if you want to follow along, you can use the main suggestion people use is overleaf. The reason why is because first of all, it's very nice. It allows you to write your code and also fairly quickly compile and see right next to like your results right next to it. And it also allows for collaboration. Fun fact: if you have more than two people in your group, you can use the share link. You can share a link instead of just making collaborator. It allows for infinite collaborators that way because there's a hard limit on overleaf to two collaborators. If you want to be a real pro, you can follow this link, latex-project.org/get, and install it on your computer. But I will tell you that this is not only a pain for everyone involved, but it also is very buggy. I mean, it works fine, but just use Overleaf. It's not worth the hassle. Um, Now let's begin. So I'll show you like the simplest example of a LaTeX document, which is this. Hello world. This is all you need to make a LaTeX document. You have your document class, which is essentially saying this is the type of paper I'm using. Say like A4 or like legal paper, you would specify it here. And then in begin and end document, the environment, you use hello world. What do you mean overleaf was horrifying? It's wonderful. This is a wonderful thing. How are there 74 people here? Don't you have better things to do with your lives? No, it's okay. Let's see. So if you look, you just add text and it's great. LaTeX MK. Is that the Mac version? I know there's a Mac one that's really nice that you have to pay money. Oh my goodness. If you look at this, you just add text and it shows up. It's great. That's how it works. Now, if you want to spice things up, we go to commands. The important thing about commands is that they give you vast abilities to do whatever you want. The thing you need to note is that most commands, not all, but most use the backslash. And this is the one that you always get confused when you're using web pages, but it's right there. You click on that. It's below the backspace. If you don't use a US standard keyboard, I'm sorry. So the general structure of commands are this. You have your command, and then you either have curly brackets or you have square brackets. Now, if you can just have, typically commands can have multiple as well, but in general, it works like this. Curly brackets mean there's a required parameter, and the square brackets mean there's an optional parameter. So like, let's say in terms of text, if you want to make something bold, you can't just press Control B and Google Docs does it for you. You have to use a command. Same with italics. I don't know how to say that. Say you need to use commands in order to change how your text looks. Say this inside your document, begin document, end document, you need, if you want to bold something, you need to use these commands. The next important command you need to know is the /. And this essentially puts a new line. It's a new line character, essentially. Instead of /n, if you're familiar with coding, you use the /. If you want to, you can also do new line, which I put in the chat, and that does the same thing. What is code? I'm sorry, I can't help you there. If you want as well, you can use, oh please, no. If you want, you can use an empty space, like an empty line in between your lines to make new lines. And this has a quirk of not indenting things. So these are the types of quirks that you see in LaTeX where you just kind of learn it and it's terrible, but it's great as well because you get used to it, and it makes typing things very fast. If you want to section out your code or your document, you can use sections. If let's say you want to section in a section, boom, you get a subsection. If you look at the number, sometimes it's annoying because you want to say like question 1 or question 5 in your homework. You can also get rid of that using the asterisk. I should use official terms. Imagine having to type code to write a paper. Imagine having your notes not compile. That's a nightmare in itself. And then you think that subsection is not enough, you can do subsection. Are these slides posted? I should post these, yes. I'll do that afterwards. So there's a type of nuance that you get. This is going to be on the final. I should stop looking at the chat because I'm getting distracted way too much. Subsection, and then section. You can see that there's a type of pattern that goes alongside with a lot of commands. I'm trying my hardest not to look at the chat. If you see a command that makes no sense, typically it's because there's a pattern that you haven't recognized yet. So these are things you learn. Again, this is something you just do a lot of and then you get better at it. I'm so sorry. So typical commands that don't have parameters are like symbols. Delta and pi are two of them. I'll go over some important ones if you're in Discrete Math or CSE 21 or like Math 109, which is like proofs. It's your proofs. I copied this off of my document because I couldn't figure out how to get LaTeX into Google Slides. So you can see there's a pattern here. So if we go logical and, it's L and, that's nice. Logical or is lor. Logical not is L not. And then logical XOR is big O plus because that makes sense. These are commands that for each. Dang, I forgot that one. Well, like these types of commands are ones that are like, if you think about a command and you don't know where it is, your best friend is Google, being real honest. And if there's a syntax or like, let's say there's a symbol you don't understand, I'll give you a quick and easy solution to that. You go on Google Docs. Now this is professional advice. You go on Google Docs, you make a blank document, and you insert a what is it? A special character, and then you draw it. Bam! And then you can search it on Google. That is the wrong one. Is it this one? I think it's this one. Del or Nabla. And then now you have the name of the symbol and you can look it up. It's foolproof. Yes. But this is actual advice. It's very hard to know the name of a symbol by just by looking at it. So when you're on a textbook or something and you see a symbol that makes no sense to you and they don't actually name it, they just start using it. And you're like, how am I supposed to put this in my document? You just look it up. And that is the actual suggestion. Yo, there's an actual drawing thing. Thanks, Casey. I'll put this in my notes. This would have been nice to know before I had any classes. The next one, like another important one is fractions. This is one of the special ones that have two commands or two parameters. And how do you know they're two parameters? You just know because there's no guide. This is the type of thing where like you just have to learn it, and it's a learning process. There's definitely an uphill battle. Square root is square root. If you've ever used like Desmos or something or WebAssign, you know that like if you type that in, it'll automatically set it for you. Another important command you should know is mathbb for Math Blackboard. If you're in CSE 21 or CSE 20 or any of those classes that deal with discrete math, you have to use these symbols to describe what is it called? Like sets of numbers, like rational numbers, real numbers, or natural numbers, all integers. These types of things are ones you have to use for your class. So please remember it. What is this? Oh, well, I put this in the wrong place, but we're going back to square root. This is one that has an optional parameter, and you can put like, you can put what you're rooting it by, radical. Yes. Goodness gracious. Oh, yes. Curly brackets are the required parameters and the square ones are optional. So if we go to the next thing, if you want to comment your code because you like detail or you like having clean code that's readable, you should use comments, which are a % sign. I don't remember what other language uses % signs, but I know there's at least one. And then there's math modes. Is it Python? MATLAB. Yeah, it's MATLAB. Yes. So math modes, if you go into LaTeX in your document and you just, other way around, the curly brackets are mandatory and the square brackets are optional. Math mode exists because how is it supposed how is the compiler supposed to recognize what is like a mathematical equation versus just text? And this is honestly like a hard problem. So instead we just use symbols to designate it. The $ is the main one. If you want to put inline text, so like you use single $ in between your equation. And if you want these to be on their own line, like automatically set their own line and be in the middle, like an equation in your math textbook, you want to use these last two. The last two are essentially the same thing. If we look at it, we can see that as an example, the last two are exactly the same, in the same position, in the same font. Nothing really changes when you use the last two. It's more preference. I like using the brackets because I think it looks nicer, but that's superficial of me. Lastly, we have, this is just another example if you want to do an inline thing. This is something you'll probably use in one of your classes at some point. The only thing I haven't gone over here is some of these symbols, and well, now I've taught it. There's for all, there's in. Quad is a space. So if you do /quad, that gives you a space. There's exist, y less than equal to epsilon. And then we can go through some examples. Do any of you have any questions as of now? This was a question time, but I wrote example because I'm an idiot. See an example? Ah, yes, let's do this. So let's go to my projects. We'll go to the LaTeX technical event. So right now, don't look at that. That's very scary. We haven't gone to that yet. This is my current document. We'll go over the preamble shortly, but in general, this is what overleaf looks like. You type in here, you can compile, and then whatever changes you make. At the very beginning, I might say like, hello ACM, and then you save. That's me. What? There are two of them. Wow. Do not distract me. It goes here. If you want to do math, you can do like, let's see, what am I going to think of? You can do like x plus y equals z, and then you can save that. It'll show up on the screen, which is pretty cool. The reason you use LaTeX is because you can do absolutely disgusting things, and they all will look fine. A over a fraction of AB, or AB, and then you can do the fraction in that of, or like C dot, which is multiply by 2/4, and then save that. And it compiles correctly. Oh, I forgot to say, in the small one, if you wanted to, one difference between the single and the double, alongside the difference, or the positioning, is size. So if you want to use the smaller one, the inline math mode, but you want it to have the full size, you need to use this, what is it, display style? I believe so. Yeah, display style. And then it'll be full size in your text. Then you can do the formula is, and then just save that. And it'll be inline as well. And then you can also just do the standard. It's cool in it, and it will be inline still. Wonderful stuff. Line spacing, things like that, those are all handled internally. If things are too close, you can like adjust it, which we'll get to in a bit. Any other questions? What is this? Someone posted a GIF. I'm afraid. I'm not going to open that right now. That could be a not good. It is a distraction. Let's go back to the slides. I have an empty slide here. I'm a fool. So let's begin. How to put the name in the top right? That's going to be an example at the end. I'm very sorry. So the preamble is everything before your document or begin document. So in the document environment, that's where you put your text. Before it is called the preamble. The most important thing in there is your document class. This dictates what type of paper you're essentially writing in. It's cool. So the default one is article, and it's a type of paper. And then, like article paper, standard size. The parameter list also exists. So there is a optional parameter, and you can adjust stuff like font size, the letter paper, which is, shoot, I had this written down. Where is it? Oh, paper size and format. And then we can do centimeters, which is essentially the size standard when you just use, when you use numbers randomly. And then article is the type of paper. You can put like legal paper, you can put legal A4, stuff like that in the article. It'll automatically populate the optional parameters. This is where you would, I believe you change font using a package. If you want to change font, you would need to use a command called SFF, I think. I think it's font encoding, or like, oh no, this comes in the use package. I'm sorry. So you can, we'll get to that in a bit. You can use the article, or you can just do it like this, which is perfectly acceptable. This is what happens when you start a LaTeX document and you like just a clean slate. It'll automatically come with this and the default size. This is the one I generally use, but it's unimportant really. It's just that I like smaller margins because I'm a fool. The next one is use package. This is like imports in any programming language if you want to import something. The important one to note is ASM math and ASM symbol. You can stack them together if you want in the same use package, typically, unless they have parameters. If they have parameters, then you can't do this. ASM Math allows you to do mathematical functions like matrices. They allow you to do certain tables. And then ASM or AMS symbol is the other one that allows you to use like Math Blackboard. These are the ones you should add to your document at all time. Hello, someone raised their hand. What is this? I've been distracted. God dang it. But there are a bunch of them, like this one that I love. It's you can tie knots. you can tie knots. This is where you would add your fonts and stuff like that. So if you want, you can add font one. Let's see. So in the use package, you can add the font. If I use like T1 or something like that. Let's see. How do I do this? You would have to use font families. Okay, this is a pain. This is the type of thing where you Google it and you look it up, because this is not something. You want me to do this in Comic Sans? I actually don't know how this will affect the math mode. Overleaf does have a dark mode. I'm so distracted. I'm so sorry. If you go to editor theme, you can change it. And I like tomorrow night because I think that's pleasing on the eyes without being AMOLED. Yes, but use package, you would change the font here, I believe. Let's go back to our thing. The white side, I don't understand how people use light themes. It really hurts me. I'm very glad that the people who generally praise light theme aren't here because they like to be very loud. So next thing you want to know is new command. If you have something that's really annoying to type, that you always have to type, like mathbb r, so like mathbb and then r, which is the notation for creating the Blackboard R, you could change it. So here's the shortcut and the actual command. Oh, I did it in here. I didn't need to type it in. So like I could just do /r and it'll automatically do it for me. And it's great. If you have things that are very complicated that you can copy a lot of, you can also do new command. And there are ways of passing in parameters that I will not go into right now because this is a whole rabbit hole. The thing about this is if we stop at any point, we can dig forever because literally, actually I'll pull up my notes. I have literally like 20 pages of notes and it is not pleasing. I'm not going to go over all of it because that will be hell for everyone. So that's the last part of the preamble. We've completed our preamble. And so this is what my most recent preamble looked like from my CSE 105 homework. I actually didn't make it. This came with the document because our professor is cool and he gives us pre-made LaTeX documents. And this was mine for 20E, Math 20E. It was not cool. That was not a cool class. But yeah, so typically it's the same type of situation where you have commands, you have your packages that you use, you set up your document. Why don't you all put them in one line? First of all, because I'm cluttered. Secondly, because some of these have to use, at the very top, I have those two organized. Those are the ones with parameters. You could technically put everything into the same use package, but then it becomes unreadable. And there's no real reason to. Say like ASM Math or ASM Math or AMS Math and AMS symbols. Maybe you'll put them together because it makes sense. The reason why mine looks like this is because as I was going through the homework, I realized I couldn't do things that I looked up. So I'd have to individually put in the packages. If you want to clean it up, you totally can, but that's a thing that your professor or your grader will never see. Yes. So let's continue. Environments. This is another important part of your document. The most important part, potentially, because this is where your document is. And if you remember, this is where your text goes, in between document. Everything that's in between document is rendered on your screen. This is the main meat of your program. A fun little note is that anything after end document is just ignored by the compiler. So if you want to copy paste some like stuff, you can have it there. So like let's say you you have a colored box or something like that where you put your answers, you can leave a blank copy at the bottom, so you can just copy paste it whenever you need to. That's what I do. There are some other ones that are used for text, like center. So if you want to center your text, in between this, you put in like your text, and it'll show up on the center of the screen. And then another one, which I saw note in the chat, I just ignored it, was the itemize, how to make lists. So the way these work are you create the environment and then you notate each individual one using item, \item. And it's as simple as that. You just put it in and then it comes out. If you want, what happened to enumerate? I put it in the wrong place. Oh goodness, I lost it. Apparently that slide disappeared. But if you want to use numbers instead of just dots, you use enumerate. And if you want to, you can stack them in between each other. So you can have an itemize with an enumerate inside of it, if you want. That's one of the reasons why I use LaTeX, because it will do what you want whenever you want, as long as you want it, I guess. Sometimes you'll do things on accident, but it'll look nice, so you just keep it. And that's what I do. That's how I live my life. Another environment is tables, tabular. We can begin. It's similar deal, except they are separated by backslashes and ampersands. So if you look at the top, we'll start with the LCR. What does LCR mean? It means left, center, right. If you look at the picture, you can see that the first column is left aligned, the middle column is center aligned, and the right column is right aligned. If you want to change this, you totally can. You can make it so it's RCL or CCC or LLL. Same type of deal, and you can do whatever you want with it. If you want to separate items in a row, you use an ampersand. And if you to separate columns, you use a new line. Another interesting thing you can do is that you can put in lines. I don't remember what this symbol is called. Let me look that up, actually. The symbol is called the vertical bar. Wow, I'm a fool. The vertical bar, you can put that in to separate to make a box if you want. Then you can go really complicated and do something like this, where you have some horizontal lines, but you also set up your columns like that. You can skip elements if you wanted to. On the very left column, you can see that after Apple, there is no element, and we are able to take advantage of that. You can ignore the multi-column if you want to right now, but that is another package you have to install. The common theme of this will be you can't use this without the package. Yes, so this is the elegance of LaTeX. You can go wild. Let's go to the next one. Yeah, I put the side note here, but I kind of said it before. This is where the information flood really begins, where there is no clear path to continue teaching. This is where you explore on your own. The best way to honestly learn is going to be quite the struggle, which is you try to do your next homework in LaTeX, and for every error or mistake or thing you don't know, you have to look it up. You say, how do I make a matrix in LaTeX? You have to look that up, and you learn from that, and you learn the commands slowly through continuous use. I guess I'll say at this point as well, this is the part where discrete math is kind of over, actually in a few slides, but this is where we'll focus more on like if you use this to do your math homework, because some classes will give you extra credit for doing things in LaTeX for some reason. Why use LaTeX when you can just use Google Docs? Because Google Docs is not robust enough for most people. If you like, Google Docs has a lot of limitations solely because of how it works. In Google Docs, it's what you type is what you get. Like if what you type is what you get, essentially. In Google Docs, you have a lot more like ease of access, but when you want to do stuff like robust equations and exact formatting, it's a lot harder to do. Not because Google Docs can't do it, but because it's a lot easier to do in LaTeX. All right. do you normally do your homework on paper and then type it in LaTeX at the end? No, I do it all straight from LaTeX, which could be detrimental, but honestly, like it's fine. If in math classes I do, I feel like I need to write it down before I transcribe it onto my document. Things like linear algebra, where you have to do table, or when you have to do a lot of like calculations by hand and then put it in. I feel like you should use you should write it down and then type it in. But for things like CSE 20, you should, and 21, you should totally be fine doing it like directly. Oh yeah, it's LaTeX. I'm sorry, because it's either LaTeX or LaTeX, and I say LaTeX. Most people won't get mad at you. Some people will, but you know, I don't really care. Some other math stuff. This one's important. Superscript and subscript. They're cool. If if you've ever used Desmos or whatever, they're kind of like hotkeys. The thing to note is there's an implicit bracket around the first character, so it looks like that essentially. If you wanted to if you want to do more than that, you have to like actually put in the brackets. So let's say you did something like this, where it's x, or if you just look at the example, only the first character of each of these are taken into account, and it looks really ugly. But then if you put in brackets to actually converge it, it looks much better, and it's probably what you actually want. If you're only using one character, you should be fine, but just note that this can cause many problems if you forget about it. Also, you need to be in math mode to use this. Just saying. The superscript and subscript are also used in other forms. Say, like if you have the limits, if you have a limit, you can what is it? There's a term for this. We just learned about this. It takes over whatever the subscript was supposed to do, and it uses it for its own purpose, which for now it's put it under the limit. And this is also seen in the like sum and also in the integrals. So if you want to use like sums or integrals, you can use the superscript and subscript in order to populate the thing. Math mode as in import AMS math. No, math mode as in you need the dollar signs or the bracket here. Oh yeah, also you can't do this if you don't have ASM math or AMS math. So if you are working on your document and you're doing math stuff and you're just getting a bunch of errors and you're so confused because everything looks right, there's a good chance you didn't import a package or something like that. Yeah, so look at that. Like make sure that you have all your packages if you like to start fresh. Here are a list of things that override your superscript and subscript, like product. I like how integrals, if you haven't seen, it goes from int to int to int to, you just keep adding i's, you know? It's like, it's humorous. Are these slides available? I will be posting them. Where should I post these, Bryce? I'm calling you out. Use an ACM URL? I will.
Yeah.
That's actually a good suggestion.
Just use an ACM URL, yeah.
I will not do that right now.
When we LaTeX slides.
Here. Yeah. Yes. At the end, when we once I go back to examples, we are, how many slides are we in? We're in slide 78 out of 89. So we're almost done. Once I'm done with these slides, I'll be able to post. I would like you who use Google Docs. It is recorded as well. I'm currently recording and making a fool of myself, but this will be published to the YouTube. I actually don't know if the chat is saved. I don't think so, but regardless. Here we can see, I'd like all of you who use Google Docs to attempt to do this. Does LaTeX have color coding? Yes. That's a package you have to install and then learn how to use yourself. There are T color boxes as well, so colored boxes that you can put your answers in. That's also a hassle to use, but very nice to look at. Oh yes. If any of you use Google Docs, I'd like you to try to do this in under 15 seconds, which is about as long as it took me to write this. Yeah. Lastly, is this lastly? No, there's one more thing after this. There's the left and right command. These ones are special because instead of a parameter, they use a bracket. You can use curly brackets, you can use parentheses, you can use square brackets, you can use bars, double bars. And the reason why you would use these is because you look at this fraction, it looks gross, it's not right, it doesn't fit. The parentheses are way too small. But if you use left and right parentheses, it looks fine, it looks correct. And this is how you fit parentheses around things that are much bigger. Because sometimes when you use like square root over 32 plus something and it's very big, it also resizes depending on this. Yeah. So like if you have multiple parentheses, so like if you put multiple lefts and rights, the outer ones will be larger than the inner ones. And it'll automatically adjust for whatever's in between the bounds. And here are some examples of what you can use. Yeah, those are the ones you're allowed to use for the for left and right. It's cool. If you haven't used it, or one big application is for matrices, which we will go over now. Matrices, if you look, they look nearly exactly and function nearly exactly as tables. The difference is that it's already in math, or they expect to be in a math mode. So you can see the brackets on the outside as you use it. Inside, it's the same type of structure. Rows are separated by ampersands, and columns are separated by new lines. When do you use double dollars? You can use double dollars, and you can use the bracket one, which I'm showing on screen, interchangeably, essentially. I like this one because it looks nicer. I think the dollar signs look kind of gross, but that's just because I am temperamental. The other thing you can do, which relates directly back to the left and right, is you can put brackets around your matrices, which is cool. Some math stuff requires different ones, so this is where you use the different parentheses or brackets and such like that. But also, LaTeX has built it in, so if you really don't want to put in the extra time to type those things in, you can put in B matrix or P matrix or the other things. Exactly the same. If we like switch the two, they are exactly the same. If we look, here are the examples they have. If you want to use an additional parameter, which is kind of useless, so kind of ignore it, you can use the asterisk, but these are typically what you would use for your thing, for your matrices. And then you can make stuff like this. It's wonderful, isn't it? I pulled this from my math homework last year. Yeah. These things take a while to write. If you really want to, there exist websites that will make the tables for you. If you just, you just type in the things in each of the boxes, and it'll give you a snippet of code like this that you can just pop into your thing. Let's see, next slide. Here are some miscellaneous commands that you might or may not have to use ever. If you look at prime, you can just use the single apostrophe for when you take derivatives and such like that. There's graves, knots. If you want to, / not is nice for crossing things out if you want to like show your work. If you ever do that, things like that. And then we're done. That's it. I should publish my slides because I didn't do that because I'm a fool. So let me do that. But if any of you have any questions, please put them in the chat, and I'll keep recording for like 10 minutes. Thank you. This is my first one. Let's hope that my recording doesn't die. I need to immediately like upload this to Google Docs so I don't lose it. I need to be on Firefox apparently because let's see. There it is. Let's put that here. Have you ever taken longer typing a homework assignment than actually doing it? For linear algebra, I think is the biggest culprit. Yeah. So a few times with some classes specifically, it takes more time to. I think with discrete math, so like math 109, CSE 20, CSE 21, math 154, those ones are more like proofs. So it's kind of just like typing your proof. Honestly, I think it would be faster to do it on your computer on LaTeX than actually writing it, solely because writing takes longer than typing. Let's see, any other questions? Did I do good? Thank you. Let's hope that I don't mess up at the end. Let's see. ACM URL. And I need to post a link. And then now, how do I share this? Yes, there it is. So now I need to make an announcement, and I will just do. So if you want the slides, they are now on the announcement channel. Slides for the event here. There we go. How to put your name? Oh yes, that's important. That one is important. Let's just go to a LaTeX document, this one here, that I used for my general thing. So let me pull up my another instantiation of Overleaf. So I'm gonna have two at the same time. Where's the check-in code? Yeah, I made the check-in code way too terrible, honestly. Oh goodness, what did I do? There it is. There we go. So now if I go to all projects and I go to there. So one of the easiest ways is to use hfill. So in your document, if you just use hfill and you just do homework like one or something like that, it'll be in the top right corner. So you can do like if you want to do, you can do like say Christopher Cha. You should note that if you just do double line, it'll break it. Yeah, so you need to do that. Because hfill, what hfill does is it fills the space behind it so that it's at the very end. So what happens if you have two things right next to each other, it'll go to the next line. It just fills up just enough space for your thing to be at the very end. So you need to be real careful. Then you can do the date, which is today is 08, and then it's like the 5th or something, 6th, 6th, 7th, 8th. It's the 8th. 8/8. Oh, wow. That's hip. 2002. Something like that. Any other questions? For CSE 20, a lot of times you can just copy entire proofs and just change a few sentences. That's not a question. Is it a good idea to use LaTeX in a class like Math 20D? I did. It was a pain. It was a horrible pain. I would not recommend it unless you really want to. Do you use a template for your homework assignments? Okay, so like the thing is, for my homework assignments, I typically use the same packages. What a lot of people do is they make a copy of their old homework. Like if you're doing homework 2, you make a copy of homework 1, and you just clear the document section. Oh yeah, snippets are very helpful. I didn't go over them because that's another rabbit hole. If you want to look into shortcuts, they're very nice as well. Can you pay someone to write your homework in LaTeX? $15 an hour. Message me directly. No, I'm kidding. That's legally a joke. Let's see. Any other questions? I don't see. Let's see. I don't see any more questions. Can you show us the LaTeX file for homework 1? Yes, after I call my lawyer. My lawyer doesn't like it when I call them because they don't get paid when I call them because I'm technically not their client. But yeah. So I guess we're done. Thank you all for coming. Okay, let's think about it. Okay, well, I'm gonna end the recording right now. But thank you all for coming. This is probably going to be the only technical event that I do that is helpful. The rest of them will be memes. Goodbye.